Hi everybody, I'm Dave Thomas. Welcome to another edition of Principles of Learning right here on HHTV. Now every month HHTV tries to highlight each of our primary principals representing our 5 elementary schools, 2 secondary schools in the Hatboro-Horsham School District, and our guest today, Mr. Dennis Williams, principal of our high school. Dennis, first of all, welcome to our program.
Thank you, Dave.
We get to kind of just, do things here in our own backyard for once. Well, we start off every show the same way, but before we get to that, we always try to talk to every principal about their style, what they bring to it. Every style of every principal is unique, and what they bring to their building is also unique. If you were to categorize what you do here at the high school and what you've done here for the last 8 years, what would you say that is, Dennis?
I would say extremely down to earth. For a high school principal to engage with students the way that I do is not necessarily commonplace. I think there's a comfort level that I have with this building, with this community, with our students, because I'm a former graduate.
Right.
So I understand what kind of makes our community tick. It's not uncommon for me to, dress up in a kilt at a pep rally,
right,
or to bust out in song at in the middle of different events and do different things. So I think I'm a little different in that way. But clearly, there's a passion that I have for this community and for this high school, and I think I try and make sure that shows through in everything that we do.
Over the last 8 years since you've been here, started as the assistant principal, and being able to come back, and we're going to talk about that too. When you come back to a school, there's an expectation. Oh, well, he used to be here, he was this, he was that. When you came here, how much of it was a matter of, well, he's back now, he was like this when he was here before, and now all of a sudden it's, well, now he's a principal or assistant principal, and now make his way up to principal. Tell me about those first couple of years and how you arrived at where you are now. It's
interesting in that my high school experience I was not the greatest, I wasn't highly motivated as a high school student. I think there was a lot of potential, a lot of ability. I was very lazy, kind of lackadaisical at times, and I think that it was the individuals in this building, in this district, that embraced me and got me to where I am right now. So with that in mind, I think, wow, with that in mind, I think that there is an expectation that there's a knowledge base of this community, and as I mentioned before, of this high school. And coming back was funny because you have a lot of teachers that you respect, a lot of teachers who you've come to know, and coaches and so on, and coming back and actually sitting in classrooms and observing their teaching style.
That was different.
Absolutely, and that still continues. There are still a number of teachers in this building who were my teachers.
Right.
So it's a little weird feeling sometimes, but again, professional, collegial type of relationships that we've built, it's not an issue.
I have to ask a question too. I've always wanted to ask you this. We just saw those pictures of you when you were here as a student. Did you ever smile?
Once in a
There's
while.
one. I see it now. At least we got one now.
Yeah.
You look always in those pictures like, just here he comes. They got that edge.
They caught me at bad times.
I mean, you could have been a principal then with that whole look on your face. You had a principal look then. I just always wanted to ask him that because he's like, all those faces so serious in all those pictures. Again, when you were here as a student, part of this community, how then do you translate that now into leading our school? Over 1,000 students in a school like this, all the community, the parents, dealing with them all the time. Yeah. How much does that help you to be a part of the community, knowing that you were part of it back then too?
I think it's interesting. It's funny that you say that I was a part of the community. It's interesting because my story is a tad bit different than others. I did not grow up in the Hatboro-Horsham School District. My family moved here. I was born and raised in North Philadelphia. My family moved here 2 weeks before school started, of my freshman year. So the whole community feel is something that I had to acquire. It was truly something that was nurtured because I wasn't born and raised here. So that's something that I think has allowed me some of the successes that I've had in my career, small successes that I've had in my career, is the type of embrace and community feel and connectivity that this place gave me as an outsider. So I think one of the things that we've tried to do and develop is to develop for all of our students a sense of community, a sense of connectivity, and what the Hatboro-Horsham School District actually is and what it can do for some of our students. So that sense of giving back and feeling is something that we try to make sure that
Yeah, and we're going to touch on that quite a bit during this program. But let's back up a little bit. We talked about the fact 2004 you became an assistant principal. It was my first year, your first year. I actually interviewed to get my job here, you know, so we got to know each other right away. But before that, tell me about your career as an educator. How did we get started doing all this?
Sure. Once I left Hatboro-Horsham, again, extremely prepared. I went to Muhlenberg College. Played football through the discus at Muhlenberg. Had a great experience there. My first job out of college, I was a social studies teacher at Cheltenham High School, and it was interesting because at the time Cheltenham and Hatboro-Horsham were in the same division. So
oh wow!
Here I am as a teacher at Cheltenham and coaching football and coaching track, and we're participating against my old coach.
Good old Hatters.
And some people who I become very close with. So that was interesting. There was an opportunity that became available at Hatboro-Horsham as an assistant principal. I was blessed enough to be the successful candidate for that position. And then a year later, I was named the building principal. So I've been here for 8 years, 7 years as the building principal, 7 great years as the building principal of this high school.
Now, if we can, we'll go back to those pictures of you a little bit. You played ball when you were here. You were also on the track team? Okay. Being part of those sports when you were in high school, how vital was that to being part of that total picture that we ask our students to be a part of? What did that do for you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think a student has to find their level of comfort. They have to find their niche. For mine, it was athletics. For others, it's clubs and activities. While I was involved also in FBLA and the Black Student Union and some of those other things, I was truly just involved. It wasn't something that I was passionate about. Sports was that passion for me. And what we try and do is make sure that our kids can find that passion no matter what it is. It's interesting. We did some research through some surveys that we run in October. And it's interesting in that 80% of our high school students are involved in at least one activity.
At least one.
That's what we want. Research clearly shows that when kids are engaged and involved outside of the classroom, that their performance increases in the classroom. We want our kids to be whole-rounded or well-rounded students that embrace the whole school aspect. So whether it's sports, clubs, activities, no matter what, that's something that we try to continue to push our kids to get involved in something, because if there's something that you want, I guarantee you can find it here. Yeah,
we have so many options available. We're going to talk about a lot of those options and show some of the video we've gathered throughout the year of a lot of the things that those clubs, sports, and activities have done. But let's go back a little bit all the way to the fall. This was something that we had waited for a long time. As a player, you know, you and I both spent a lot of time on a lot of muddy fields, both in our own careers, but then also as coaches, sitting on the sidelines. And all those times that you go to those other stadiums and you say, wow, imagine if we could have turf. And, you know, a little controversy around it, but then when we moved forward with it in the fall, all of a sudden it was, this is the most beautiful thing we could ever have. Let's go back to that night that we unveiled that field and just describe to us what it was like, former player, former student, now being the head guy at this school when that unveiling happens. Take us there.
It's interesting because this was my second opening night here at Hatboro-Horsham. My junior year, when we moved over to this building, we opened against Cheltenham.
Oh, no kidding.
1991. Rainy night, ugly night.
There you go.
First game ever on the turf field. And then here we are some 18 years later. And cool. I have the opportunity to cut the ribbon on our brand new turf field. And that's something that I shared with our players. Coach allowed me to talk to them in the locker room before the game, and that's something that I shared with them, that this is a special moment, something, you know, that they will never forget. The entire community, you know, surrounding this event, there was a lot of anticipation around when it was going to be open, what it was going to look like. So it was a very, very special night for us, and a special night for the community as well.
What does it offer our district?
Well, I'll tell you, it offers some flexibility. It provides us an opportunity to do a number of night events for both our boys and girls, athletic teams. Some of the opportunities that it makes available for our phys ed program, our marching unit. It provides a number of opportunities. And then when we look at the expectations of our community and the opportunities that it provides for our community. So it was a good idea for us to move in that direction.
So it's more than just about a sport. It's more than just about an athlete.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. It is. It's about the entire program. And you know, you go around this building in this district, this place is like a rec center sometimes.
Absolutely.
You know, so and there's still some work to do. There's still some things that we need to handle. But field space, this definitely addresses some issues of field space.
Okay. We're going to move on past the athletics now to some of our more activity-oriented things like that. You know, one that we're both very heavily involved in, the Feed a Friend program. We'll talk about that one first. Okay. You know, I know what it looks like from my end as we plan it and we run it with the kids, but now you've seen it in action growing throughout the years to the point of now district-wide reach. And you take part in it. You're one of my first guys to come up and deliver. I don't know, a lot of people don't know that, but one of the first guys to deliver to houses is you. What does this say about our school to the community, and what do you take in as the principal of this building when you say, this is what we do with this stuff and this is who we affect?
One of the sad things about the state of education right now is everything is based on quantitative data. You know, schools are judged, high schools especially, by PSSA scores, SAT scores, AP, and so on and so forth. There is not a lot of qualitative research and data that takes place in terms of how well a school is doing. That's what I look at. How involved is the school in the community? How do students feel about coming to school every day? What are they doing in terms of community service and service learning that makes an impact in the community? I will say that Feed a Friend is probably one of the most remarkable things that we do, because when you look at the number of students that are involved and engaged and giving up their time on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays to go out and collect and having an opportunity to deliver, seeing the smiles on the faces of people in our community, you know, when you turn over $200 to $250 worth of groceries, and gift cards, for people who on a daily basis are struggling to put food on the table. It is a tremendous feeling for me, and it is a tremendous asset of our community in terms of the work that Student Council has done under your leadership, and just the tremendous students for what they've done in terms of making sure that Hatboro-Horsham maintains a foot in this community.
I appreciate that. And one of the new things that we just saw a video of already, something that you kind of shepherded this year too with the Black Student Union, was the Reach Out and Read program. We had that bin in the main office for a while collecting those books, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're gone. Tell me about that plan, how that all came about, but also then, who does that help? Sure.
When I took over the Black Student Union last year, I wanted to make sure that it was not just an organization that sits around and we talk about African American issues.
Right, sure.
Talk about, I wanted to make sure that we were also had an impact in the community, so people can look at something that was done and say, you know what, the Black Student Union at Hatboro-Horsham High School did that. So I have a tremendous leadership group of 8 students from grades 9 through 12, and we sit and talk about what can we do to create a foothold and have an impact on the community. This year, or last year, we decided to do a book drive that we partnered with the African American Museum in Philadelphia. Everything that we collected went over to Haiti. This year, the students wanted to be specific and focus on a children's book drive. So we started to collect books from kindergarten through 8th grade, and we actually partnered with CHOP in the Reach Out and Read program. And basically what happened is we were able, thanks to our community, we collected close to 4,000 books in a month-long period. And what we did was that was part of our service learning initiative for Black History Month. So for February 13th through March 13th, again, we collected close to 4,000 books. CHOP was ecstatic.
Sure.
That helps over 50 different hospitals and doctors' offices that are tied or aligned with CHOP. Because they use approximately, I think she told me, 80,000 books a year. So it was great for them, and it made our kids feel good. Our kids felt great, and that's what it's all about: having an understanding for what is the need in a community, and then being able to fill that need, and knowing that what you're doing is actually going to a very good cause.
One thing I wanted to ask you too, and you and I have shared some of this, on the side, obviously not on camera, but. The Black Student Union to you, coming from where you came from, the story that you shared with us, coming to Hatboro-Horsham, the way you came, coming from North Philly, family settled here, now you're part of this community. With our young black students that we have here today, why is it so important for you to model that for them so they understand you're not just a part of this, you're not just a number, you're not just a demographic, but you are a leader? Why is that so important for you?
I think it's very important because it's not something that I had. When you look back at the demographics at Hatboro-Horsham, I believe if you look at my yearbook, I think I was one of maybe 30
Right.
African American students in the building. And again, not that we've become the tremendous melting
Sure,
pot of
absolutely not,
Montgomery
right.
County, but things have changed a little bit. When I came to Hatboro-Horsham at the time, many of the minority students that were in the high school had moved in high school age.
Yeah.
What we're seeing now with the changing demographics at the school district is that many of our African American, Asian, Latino, Hispanic students are actually growing up in this district.
Right.
So I think there's a little different perspective being a minority student. But at the same time, when you look at our classrooms, when you look at the district level, there is not a lot of minority representation. And I think that I have a responsibility as an African American male tied to this community philosophically, socially, emotionally, to kind of share with them, hey, here's what the opportunities are. Here's the obstacles.
Absolutely.
But more importantly, here are the opportunities.
Good for you.
And that's something that I'm passionate about.
And you should be. No, that's great. That's what I want. I want to make sure that was heard by viewers as well.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to a little more of recreational type of topic. Something just happened recently within the last month or two. Red and Black Week. For those that don't know, this is a huge school-wide spirit competition
Absolutely.
for bragging rights.
Absolutely.
No money changes hand that we know of.
Absolutely.
You know, no secret deals, nothing. And this is just an amazing thing. Talk to everybody about Red and Black and what this means to the student body and what this just overall impression of student body. Just, this whole thing is about Red and Black Night.
Yeah. When you talk to some of our students, if you were to grab some of our students after graduation and ask them, what are some of the top 3 memories that you have of your high school career at Hatboro-Horsham? I'd imagine graduation clearly would be one.
Right.
Possibly the senior prom. But I have to believe that Red and Black would probably be somewhere in that top 3, top 5. It is such an amazing week. And again, having participated, and this is the 25th year, I was a captain in my senior year. And having participated in it as a student, and then coming back and seeing how it's evolved has just been an unbelievable experience. We went from your traditional, it really was just one night.
Yeah.
We've kind of transformed
now it's a
into,
week.
yeah, absolutely. It's an entire week of competition. And I think the good thing about the leadership of our teachers who are focused on Red and Black, then our generals and captains, is that it's continued to evolve to the point where we're including students with different talents, skills,
Right.
And levels of interest. Again, we have a skateboard competition, for God's sakes, a culinary competition. We incorporated a glee competition. So there is something pretty much for everyone, and we're going to continue to do those kinds of things. I mean, the fact that our community embraces our students with special needs to the point that there's a level of comfort to include a life skills Red and Black event in front of 1,600 kids, and they're all on their feet standing and going crazy. That shows you how important Red and Black Week is to our high school, and more importantly to our community. And again, at the end of the night, kids who have fought hard and competed all week long, everybody's hugging and shaking hands and just enjoying the opportunity that Red and Black provides. So.
You say that word community a lot, and we talk about it in regards to outside the building, but as we look at the video from Red and Black, talk about what this event for that week does for this school and the students as their own community. What does it do for this place?
It truly gives our students some ownership, because a lot of the things that that run for that entire week, as administrators, as teacher advisors, we just facilitate. Yeah. That's it. We're facilitating. We're here for advice. We're here to kind of enforce some of the rules. But everything that happens at the hands of the students. From the dances that are choreographed by our students, from the artwork that you see done by our students, pool night, and everything that happens is truly a student-led effort. And I think that's the part that's most exciting. There are other schools that have tried to, kind of emulate Red and Black, and they do a nice job, not as well as we do.
Of course not.
But it is a very special event, and I think the last 25 years, it's become something that's expected. Kids can't wait to be a part of Red and Black events.
Very cool. Let's change to a different topic entirely, much more serious note. You and I were discussing, part of the film production class, we're doing documentaries, and it's amazing that some kids have no idea what Columbine was. And because of Columbine, schools now have alarm systems, they have things in place to keep intruders out, but also the lockdown drills that we've gone into the last number of years to prepare to, if we had to, God forbid, in case of any emergency, how we'd mobilize students in the building and then also get them out safely. Recently, Hatboro-Horsham School District took a major undertaking, and they said, we're going to do this for real as it would happen in the case of emergency. Tell us what happened on March 29th.
On March 29th, we, as a high school, finally had an opportunity to engage in our evacuation and relocation drill. Every high school has, your fire drills where you're evacuating the building, you come back in, and you kind of work through what can we do better? How do we do it? How do we perform? How fast do we get out of the building?
Right.
But one of the things as a result of Columbine, you're absolutely correct, is that schools were forced to put in some sort of safety and security mechanism for inside the building. And when you look at research, it's interesting, unfortunately, that when it comes to intruders and school shootings, it is very rarely somebody from the outside. People don't just come off the street and come into a school looking to do damage. It is usually somebody from within the organization. So for us, we needed to complete or have some type of mechanism in place that would allow us to move 1,600 students, 150 professional staff, and 90 support staff from one building to the other. What you're seeing is we actually have 2 evacuation and relocation locate points. Our first point is the stadium. Our second point is Simmons Elementary School. What we wanted to do was to finally test out what it would be like to move that number of students, staff, and administration into the elementary school. So we've had the plan in place, we just never have had the opportunity to execute it. And I have to tell you, I am extremely impressed with how our students performed, how our teachers performed, because you get a little nervous, and you get a little nervous about what it's going to look like. But we actually moved 1,600 students, 150 staff, 90 plus support staff and administrators out of our building in 31 minutes. Attendance was taken. By the time we completed the process, it was 46 minutes from start to finish, and that's a heck of an undertaking. Your first time around. Are there things that we need to adjust? Absolutely. But very happy.
But able to relocate about 1,700 bodies from building A to building B in case of an emergency.
Absolutely. Without a lot of direction other than here's where we go, because we were very cognizant of we don't want to give our students too much information, because again, at the end of the day, I want to see how they perform on the spot. We don't tell them when there's going to be a fire drill. We don't tell them when we, so we wanted to make sure that there was a level of surprise to it, but that they also understood the expectations. So it was an exercise that we were very pleased with.
Very good. I noticed at the beginning of the show, you made some comments. You were looking at some old video of yourself. You've taken off a few pounds, haven't you?
I have taken off.
You have taken off a few pounds, and it's just I'm not just going down personal here. There's some intent behind this. Some boot camp that you've been part of. A lot of teachers. I mean, we preached this whole thing of fitness, wellness. Last couple of years, we've been really going over that wellness initiative. But now it's time to kind of put your money where your mouth is a little bit. Tell me about some of the teachers that just took part in boot camp, led by none other than our principal ourselves.
We for the last 2 years, I've been thinking about a way that as a staff we could try to embrace a healthier lifestyle. Was there an opportunity for us to work out together, kind of collaborate, hang out, and at the same time be more fit? This year I finally kind of put my foot down, and we decided that I was going to start a boot camp. Now it was interesting in that I rolled out this whole boot camp idea, and we're working with the Horsham Athletic Club, and one of the teachers said, well, are you going to be part of it? And I'm thinking to myself, well, I started this thing. I guess I kind of have to participate. So we actually had 32 teachers participate. We had 2 boot camp groups. We had one that started at 5:15 in the morning on Wednesdays, and we had another one that was Monday afternoons from 3 to 4. And I decided to participate in the 5:15 a.m. session.
Attaboy.
But it was a great experience, getting the chance to work out and hang out with people who you don't necessarily see on a daily basis. And the results were phenomenal. I had lost 18 pounds in an 8-week period. As a group, we lost over 300 pounds.
No kidding.
And again, we're still participating. There are people who are still going in the morning, people still going in the afternoon. We had a group that showed up yesterday afternoon. So it's something, and this morning. So it's something that we're going to continue to the point where the level of success we were so pleased with that we're actually rolling this out to students and parents. Because I think it's important that people understand living a healthy lifestyle, right. Staying active. Not necessarily living that sedentary lifestyle. So we're going to roll it out to students. It's actually on the move right now. We're getting out information. That's an opportunity for our students to get involved in a similar kind of initiative.
But again, a lot of people would just say, hey, come on, teachers, we're going to get in shape. Hey, I'm going to get in shape. I want to get in shape. That's what I'm going to do. And leave it there. But this never-ending commitment to this sense of community in the school is what I hear through everything that we've talked about so far, is a sense of community. Now you're sending it to students and parents.
Exactly.
Because if it works here, why not make it work there?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. So. And now let's talk one more thing about keeping our students safe prom night. Now, the sense of community, getting that community back in the building. We're all on the same page here for the safety, well-being of our students. Post-prom party. Last year, the post-prom party rolled out. A lot of people, myself included, the percentages of how many actually came surprised me, surprised a lot of people, because a lot of people, those stereotypes of, students just want to go drink afterwards. They're just going to do bad things anyway. A lot of them showed up. And what I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, the numbers are even higher this year for how many people are going to be in attendance after the prom.
Yeah.
Let's go back first. Let's explain what this is at High Point. Take us down there. We have some video we could show, and then explain what this year is going to look like.
Sure. Unfortunately, across the country, Prom Night is well known as the night where there are a lot more dangerous decisions made by high school students. The freedom of prom night, sometimes our kids don't have curfews. The excitement of prom night and the parties and things are already planned. I came from a building at Cheltenham High School where we had a post-prom. Post-prom was held at the high school. Outstanding event, but limited. For the last 3 years, we've talked to our home and school about getting together and starting something similar, but when we did it, I wanted to make sure that there was enough to keep our kids engaged and involved for the entire night. Right. Luckily, we were able to work with the Philadelphia Sports Club. Last year, we rolled out our very first post-prom party. 200 plus students showed up, which surprised me. I was happy if we could get 100 kids, because I knew that word would spread. We ended up with 200 plus students. Again, the community and local businesses and vendors. We gave away over $8,000 worth of prizes, flat screen TVs, iPods, iPads, mini fridges for our students that were going to college. I believe last year everyone who attended got something. Everything from 3-on-3 basketball tournaments. We did poker tournaments, no money, of course.
Of course, right, yeah.
Everything, laser tag, everything you can imagine to keep our students engaged. So the party actually starts at 11 o'clock the day of the prom. Which this year is May 25th, the evening of the prom. And the great part about this is you don't have to, if you're a senior, you don't have to go to the prom in order to participate in this. Cool. Nowhere else will you be able to get a party like this where there's free food,
right.
The opportunity to win, tremendous prizes and hang out with your friends all night for only $5.
Right.
And that was the idea behind this, was let's make this a memorable night altogether for our students for a very, very low price, and something that's going to keep them safe. Again, not all of our students will attend, and we know that there are some students who potentially may make some poor decisions, but I want to make sure that we have done all that we can do to provide an alternative to those students that I think is just outstanding. And again, we had a number of juniors who attended last year because they went with senior dates, and they've been raving about it. Tickets are on sale right now, and we're hoping to surpass that number. But it was a great experience, and again, I think it's something that as a community, at least our parents, are very happy that we're providing this type of opportunity for students.
Well, you and I both know as parents and educators in the building that the trick is your event has to become the cool thing.
Absolutely.
What we're hearing now is that this is becoming, oh, it's not just for them. It's students are saying, well, you know what, let's go check it out.
Absolutely.
And then, the kind of wave does it. And as parents, you couldn't be more happy about knowing that your kid's there and not in a car somewhere, not in a house somewhere, that you know where they're going to be accounted for all night long. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what this year looks like.
Yeah.
All right, this is your big chance, because we know when graduation hits, the phones are going to be ringing. Everybody's going to be asking. They always have those questions. This is your first opportunity to tell everybody this year for graduation. Let's tell them the date, let's tell them the times, and most importantly, what happens if it rains.
Okay. Wow.
This is it. It's all yours.
The highlight of the school year for our seniors is obviously commencement. And this year, June 11th, we have our graduation ceremony. It'll be an outstanding evening free of rain, I hope, and that all will go well. We will have graduation practice on Friday, June the 8th, and then Monday, June the 11th. There'll be more information going out to our students and parents via email blast regarding specific times and so on. Again, we hope that it's a great night. It is a great experience. We are not one of those high schools who will draw out graduation for 2, 3, 4 hours.
No, you don't.
Our belief is we get in, we take care of business, and we get out so that our students can enjoy that night with their family and friends. Unfortunately, there is the possibility of inclement weather. And when inclement weather hits, we believe that we have a solution that is extremely beneficial. And what will happen is we will actually go into our gymnasium, which holds a larger amount of people than our auditorium. Sound is a little bit better. The great thing also about our graduation in the gymnasium is that we have the ability to broadcast live to the community. Right. So if indeed we are one of the unfortunate schools who has an outdoor graduation and we have inclement weather, we believe that we have a plan in place that will still allow us to have a successful commencement ceremony and gives people an opportunity, if they can't make it out, that they can watch it at home on HHTV.
Yep, and also the internet this year as well.
Absolutely.
We're going to have it
Live stream.
simulcast that out and put that out there as for. I also want to make a little broadcast, too. I'm very proud to be able to say this after the last 8 years. We've had the ability to go live from the gym, from the auditorium for the last number of years. But the number one question, always, as you know, you and I have just joked about this, is can you go live from the stadium? If it's at the stadium, go I see it live on TV? Always had to say no to that. Now, we are pending a couple technical issues, working on some wiring issues here and there, but if those things come into play, yes, there is a very good possibility that we'll be able to show graduation live this year from the stadium, both on HHTV, on Comcast and Verizon, channels 28 and 33, and also online. So that means uncles, aunts, grandparents who can't make it to the stadium can sit in the comfort of their home and watch this live from the stadium. Again, a few pending issues, but that's big news too. So
that's huge news. Again, one of the things that frequently pops up, unfortunately, you have grandparents who are flying in from out of town and coming in from all parts of the country. And their expectation is that they get to sit at graduation. Well, when we're outside, it's unlimited.
Right.
You can bring 30 people if you would like to come to graduation. If we're indoors, that number shrinks drastically. So the fact that we do have the ability to broadcast live both in and out of the building, I think is a tremendous asset, and makes the night go smoother. Well, nothing makes the night smoother than good weather. But in case we do not have good weather, we're definitely prepared.
Now, we've seen a lot of video, we've seen a lot of clips of things that have happened here. You've said it, Dr. Griffin, our superintendent, has said it too. The high school is our flagship of our school district. A lot of great things happen here. We're active, we're doing a lot of things here, but I always ask all of our principals towards the end of the show, what's next? What is some of your vision for the future of our building?
I think for us at Hatboro-Horsham, my vision is continue to improve, to continue to make Hatboro-Horsham High School the best high school that it can be. And when I say that, that doesn't necessarily mean have the highest scores, and obviously that's one of the goals. But again, we hit that quantitative piece versus the qualitative piece. I want to make sure that when a student walks across stage in June of their senior year, that they are convinced that Hatboro-Horsham High School did everything that they could to provide them with a quality education and prepare them for whatever they endeavor, whether that's Ivy League college, university, traditional 4-year, 2-year certification program, workplace, military, whatever it is that their heart desires, whatever they endeavor to do, I want our students to leave feeling fulfilled and successful, and with the tools that they need to be successful in what it is that they want to do. So continuing to make that clear, continuing to provide the quality education that we currently do, continuing to grow our programs and what's next. I think there's an outside of the box kind of thinking that's needed in education right now because of some of the constraints that are placed on us at the state and local level. So high school life needs to look a little different than it did when you and I were in high school.
Right, sure.
And I think consistently making sure that we're looking at all avenues, providing opportunities for our students is something that will continue to be the mission and the vision here at Hatboro-Horsham High School.
Very good. I appreciate your time. Always a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Dennis, thank you very much.
As always.
Yeah, absolutely. Just getting the opportunity to say all these great things about their school, we appreciate that very much. We appreciate your viewership here on HHTV. It's always a good chance for you to see what goes on inside the walls of these buildings that you see from the road. That's what we do here on HHTV, is try to give you that inside look through Dennis Williams and several of the other principals who have been on HHTV. But that will wrap up this episode.
Thank you.
We're going to be on Principles of Learning next month as well. We will feature Nancy Doherty, the principal of Blair Mill Elementary School. And again, for all of us here on HHTV, I'm Dave Thomas. Thanks as always for watching. We'll see you next time.